You're watching Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. It's the only podcast offering unfiltered guidance and direct advice for anyone in the financial services and wealth management industry. Learn more today at eliteconsultingpartners.com/podcast. And now, here's your host, Frank LaRosa.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. I am sort of here with my right-hand compadre, Dale Dempsey. What's up, Dale? How you doing?
I'm great. It's just me and my volleyball. Wilson. We're just
Dale is on an oasis. I see you got the little plant in the background there. That's pretty nice.
Oh, the airplanes. Yeah.
We are finding ourselves here in New Jersey, like most people in the country at this time, quarantined and isolated from going out. For those of you watching us on YouTube, you'll see that I actually am in my office, although it's a different setup. In full disclosure, I live about 3 minutes from here, so I get in my garage, I drive here, I'm the only one here, so I am fully quarantined, the stay-at-home work order in force. I did actually, though, make some adjustments to my Bulldog buddies, my desk, so trying to keep things as business as usual, but Dale, you're at home. How you doing with the kids? I guess I'm fortunate and not fortunate. I don't know. I have a little bit older kids, so they're like, spending about 18 hours on the computers after their schoolwork, so they're happy. As long as food's in the house, they're happy. How about you?
Yeah, it's about the same, right? I've got some younger kids, and I've got a mix of kids, I guess. So the older one is on is the same thing, on the phone, on the computer. The younger ones and my wife are watching Tangled right now because there's a debate about whether or not it's the greatest Disney movie of all time. Ironically, so Tangled is the story of Rapunzel, I think.
Okay,
right?
Got
Rapunzel was locked away in a tower. Well, the town that is right where that she was taken from is called Corona, which is kind of interesting.
Interesting.
They're checking out Tangled right now. My personal favorite is not Tangled, but yeah, we're doing good. We're hanging in there. I hope everybody else is safe and happy as it could be. Finding some good time to be with your family.
Definitely think. Yeah, totally. I think that we would be remiss if we didn't sort of start this off by, saying that we're praying for everybody to be safe. We are very thankful and praying for all the first responders, EMT, police officers, firefighters, nurses, doctors, people at the hospitals that are cleaning up. I mean, janitors and people that are helping the nurses and doctors who never thought they'd be in warlike situations, right? And they are. And so we really are praying for them and everybody around, and those that are sick. Hopefully they make it out okay. We're praying for our leaders. Again, regardless of your political affiliation, doesn't really matter. We're all we're all human. I mean, this is not even a United States thing, right? This is a humanity thing. So we're praying for everybody. Every night at our dinner table, we say a prayer for all of those folks. We say a prayer for the people that are working with the White House and leaders around the country to just come up with solutions to medications and medicines and vaccinations eventually, to hopefully this thing gets we get past this thing. So anyway, with that said, we thought today we would talk about we would just talk about what the new world, right? The new, I hate to say it because it's getting overused, I think, but the new normal. And within financial services, how this change is affecting the financial services industry, different firms, the advisors, the advisor-client relationship. So there's a lot to peel back on this one. And I think the broader comment would be, which we actually covered in an episode 21, about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because we are all uncomfortable right now. This podcast that we're doing right now, YouTube, it took us, this is uncomfortable for us. This is the first time we've done this, right? I've done Zoom calls and all that stuff, but to record our podcast this way is uncomfortable for us. It wasn't our norm. Our norm was setting up everything in my office and moving chairs out, moving the tables in, putting our mics on, getting the video on, and going, right. And we had a rhythm with that. And now we had to change, which is interesting because Dale, you and I were talking on Friday about how advisors have had to change over the last couple of weeks, and what firms were prepared for that and what firms were not prepared for that. And I think that it's some of the firms that are glaring. I'm not really going to call out any firms. That's not what we do for anyone who listens to this podcast. We don't really. I'm not here to throw any particular firm under the bus or highlight any particular firm. It's just really a general thing, right? But there are some firms that just weren't prepared for this. What we have seen, it was primarily the wires. Wirehouse firms, for the most part, were really resistant to technology in terms of social media and advisors working from home, and the advisors are feeling it.
Do you think that's sorry? Do you think it's a compliance? It's a compliance issue. That was my take on it. Right, the technology, and how do you justify doing all this stuff from a cost perspective, and keep the regulators away from you? It's got to be right. It's got to be a challenge.
Look, it is. I mean, and firms that were resistant to advisors working from home on a regular basis without it being registered as a remote location or sometimes otherwise known as like an office of convenience, it's a compliance thing. They weren't, what are they printing out? What are they sending stuff to their clients that they're not using our printers or they're not using our scanners, they're not getting things approved, right? Think about it. How does an advisor send something to a client right now and then have it approved by the manager, right? Or vice versa. How does an advisor send something to the client and it doesn't go through compliance approval? Some of the stuff is being done the right way. Some of it isn't being done the right way. It's a work in progress. I just talked to one of our clients who does a podcast, and they just recorded 2 podcasts, and they sent the recording off to their compliance folks, which is easy, and they'll get it back and send it out. But it's the more traditional stuff that I think some of these firms have a hard time with. Some of it was in the first 4 or 5 days, just having phones forwarded to their office, to their home, right? Having their office phone being forwarded to their cell phones was a disaster.
I'm still noticing a lot of firms, either they'll have it forwarded to someone who is clearly not in communication with the financial advisor and trying to take a message to get back to you, or it's going to a voicemail, and rarely will it go right to the advisor themselves at the bigger firms.
Because their systems aren't set up that way. So, a case in point, so for us, right, for those of you that don't know, I have a large number of consultants that work for the firm and staff and stuff like that. But about 10, 12 people or so work from this location. And, aside from moving our computers on Saturday, we use voice over IP phone systems. So everyone has their phone, they're at their house. I can look at my phone, which is behind me, and I can see who's on the phone. I can see who's not on the phone. So all these red lights, so I can tell. That's like, for me, that's like Christmas, right? That's Christmas for me. I see all these lights on. That tells me that my team is on the phone, my team is working, and I'm proud of them. But I'm able to, call my assistant and, like I would normally do, or she can call me, or I can just hit Dale's button and he's on the phone. When we're doing this podcast, I just texted Trish and said, "Hey, we're recording a podcast. Can you just grab my phone?" It's stuff like that a lot of these wirehouse firms and W-2 type firms were not prepared for. most independent firms and most independent advisors already have voice IP phone systems. Now, you and I both know there's limitations to those things, and we're not going to talk about that today because sometimes bandwidth and stuff like that creates some problem there. But, someone had asked me, how do you think this is going to change the industry, right? And I think it will change the right, exactly. What did you? I'm just curious what you thought, or what was your answer to that?
My answer, I thought it would definitely change the amount of advisors who are more comfortable with their communication, the methods in which they do it. So here, my view is, in the short term, there's going to be more advisors, whether it's compliant or not, communicating with their clients in all sorts of ways that maybe they haven't before. In the long term, you're going to start to see pressure on the firms that are not adept to what to expect now. You're going to start to see pressure and changes in them adapting to it. That they're going to have to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that firms that weren't ready are going to have some problems, right? Firms that were already compliance heavy are going to have some problems because now advisors are going to demand the flexibility, and they're going to have to spend the money to do it. And I think a lot of firms are not going to have the money to do that, or candidly the desire. There are a lot of firms out there that were ready, that were, easy breezy, technology was great, e-delivery, e-signature, all of that stuff that a lot of firms have, but many don't. That's going to be that's just going to be bare minimum. Like, you have to have that stuff in order to operate in the future. Like, that's just a necessity. You can't be in the game without that stuff. And so this is a warning to those types of firms that just don't want to give advisors or clients that access because they think that their advisors are morons and they don't know what they're doing and we can't trust them, and which is ridiculous. But that's the fact. I think that one of the things that I've gotten a lot of, and we've had a lot of conversations over the years with advisors that go back and forth with, should I go independent? I don't know if I can. I'm not sure if I want to do it all. I've had so many conversations with advisors that were W-2, and now all of a sudden they're asking me, or they're saying to me, maybe I should reconsider this whole independent thing, because having had to work from home now for about 2 weeks, it's not that bad. It's pretty simple. And granted, they don't have their assistant there or anything like that, but they've seen that they're doing business, they're talking to their clients, they've learned how to use a scanner. I've talked to some people in the past that didn't even, weren't sure how to use a scanner. How do you scan something and email to someone, right? Because a lot of advisors just give that thing to their assistant and say, yeah, I'll scan this and send it to Bill. What they've seen now, all of a sudden, I can do this. And oh, wait a minute, I'm going to make anywhere between 15 and 30 percentage points more. I can almost double my net income by working from my home or an office somewhere, or quite frankly, most firms will let you work from home, a home office or whatever. This depends on your clients. And so I think that's going to be a huge change. Great for the independents. It's going to put more pressure on W-2 firms, and I'm not just talking about wirehouse firms. I'm talking about regional firms also, because they're still in the 40% range payouts, right? And ticket charges and all these different variations of their comp plans, and it's going to put pressure on them. It's also going to put pressure on managers to step up to the plate. If you're a manager, you're going to really have to start to add some real value to your advisors, because now they've just realized they can work from home. Now they've just realized they don't really need you. So what are you going to do to add value to their practice and help them grow? I think that's going to be a major issue. And candidly, if wires and regionals aren't figuring out, obviously not now, and I understand right this second, we're just trying to help our people and make sure that everyone's taking care of their clients. But senior leadership at W-2 firms are not trying to figure out how to provide the right types of advisors with an independent type of platform, they are done. It's sort of the beginning. This is the beginning of the end for them. And so I think I think personally that's how I see things changing in a meaningful way.
We shouldn't forget that you know, from the firm platform level, I've seen some cases where, right, it's like a high volume day and the platform crashes, but I've heard a lot more about certain firms who have some antiquated technology behind the scenes, not really just going down haphazardly, because a lot of the maintenance that has to be done is not done as well remotely. So this thing is like,
it's a wake-up call. This whole thing, right? It's a wake-up call that a lot of firms got comfortable. No one thought we were going to have the market crater the way it did, and the volume pick up the way it did. And right to your point, Del, is that I think that some of these firms just got comfortable with the systems. People were focused on, what's the next financial planning platform that we have to roll out, or some other tool, when they forgot that they needed to change the oil in the car, right? Because sometimes you'd be driving down the street, you haven't changed your oil in 5 years, right? And the engine seizes up.
Yeah.
In full disclosure, that actually happened to me once. I had a Jeep, and I don't know. I just never crossed my mind. I don't know why.
On the more important things.
I was.
I know you were probably closing.
I was totally. This was years ago, and I was an assistant branch manager in Red Bank, New Jersey, at Smith Barney, and I just was pulling out of my neighborhood, and the car just totally froze up. It's so embarrassing, but it's sort of funny. But it's a great analogy, right?
Yeah, it's a good
There are
lesson
firms right now that are freezing up. They're freezing up. I think a lot of the independent broker dealers, I'll say the smaller independent broker dealers, are going to have issues. Money market, zero. The Fed goes to zero. Well, any of these firms that were barely making money as it is, and the only reason they were making money is because their money market balances, right? We talked about why Morgan Stanley was buying E-Trade, and one of the huge reasons was I think it was $40 billion or something in money market funds.
Yeah.
That cash sweep that they get and that spread went away, right? So I can see a lot of these smaller firms that are independent smaller firms really having some problems. So I think we're going to see some of that consolidation.
What do you think? What are your thoughts on like the price of oil or real estate investing? It's sort of like on that topic.
Well, look, I think that's no, we can come back to that. In terms of some of these MLPs that are cratering and just seizing up, I think that's going to be a problem. That's when you talk about some of these smaller independent broker dealers, a lot of those firms were letting their advisors do those things. Some bigger firms too, and that's a real problem coming down the road, just because of what's happening. But I want to just make sure I cover this point because it's really important. I think there's going to be a huge push for advisors to go independent, right? Because they can work from home, all that good stuff. But I still think, and I've read a couple things where they say, this is it for the W-2 space. This is it for the brick and mortar broker dealer. I don't agree with that either.
No,
I think that there's going to always be a need for brick and mortar offices. Clients want to go in. Advisors want to go in. Look, we have a business. You know this, Dale, right? We have a business that technically can be totally remote, right? I have consultants in Alabama and in Texas and Florida, or and on the other side of the state, and in Oregon, and we can operate. But there's something to be said for coming to the office, coming to an office.
There's a lot to be said for it. I've noticed
synergies, and there's
some esports teams that ultimately they all end up renting a house. And the esports, if you don't know, esports is essentially
I don't know
professional video game players, right? Which is a perfect example of where you can do that from anywhere in the world. But these really successful teams, and they create teams, they get together and they all rent a house and they have a team leader and they practice together. And they get better by talking about what they're each doing. And
right.
it's the same sort of mentality that exists anywhere in the earth. There are certain folks who are more entrepreneurial, and there's other ones who are better in a more managed setting. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
And it's just, to
look,
your
there's
point,
certain people that find you can easily get distracted when you work from home.
Sure.
I call it learning through osmosis, and you've heard me talk about this a lot, right? When you're just around the office, you hear things, and people hear you and I talking about something, and someone says, "What are you guys talking about?" Right? That conversation wouldn't have happened if they were at home, because we're not going to call somebody and say, "Hey, pause that thought. Let's call everybody and get them on the line and go over that." We're just going to talk, and so I think that same thing happens within a broker dealer, an RIA, right? There are just going to be a lot of them that are still going to want to work from an office, but the main point is still going to be those types of environments still have the technology and the resources to be sort of remote, right? You don't have to have a 50-person office. You can have an office, but maybe only work there, half the week. You're out and about and you're doing things. So I think that there's going to be this continuation, but there's going to be a huge pressure on W-2 models to step up with technology and solutions. And I'm talking about technology just to operate. Forget about planning software and CRMs and all that stuff. I'm talking about just functionality to do business.
Right.
That's going to be a huge change.
I mean, you should be able to do business anywhere, right? You're a
anywhere,
senior advisor.
Anywhere.
And, forget about the crisis for a second. You're traveling everywhere, and you should be from Malibu to
shouldn't matter.
Jackson
You
Springs.
should be able to pull your laptop and your desktop's on the computer. You don't have to put in 75 different passwords, or if you're somewhere else and you have your iPad and you use your iPad and your client wants to sign documents, you should be able to pull up the computer, the iPad, or whatever, and your client can sign everything right there. You hit a button, and it goes off. Oh, by the way, there are firms out there that already do that.
They do that, yeah.
This is not some futuristic, boy, wouldn't it be awesome? There are firms that do that right now.
Right.
I was talking to a manager in Chicago today, and he just hired a $1.3 million UBS advisor. Boom. He hired him. Clients got e-delivery of all their documents. They signed everything, e-signature, and it was like easy, right? So those are the types of things that I'm telling these W-2 firms. You're putting money into getting your advisors to do more of your products or whatever. You need to be working on technology to allow your advisors to be much more mobile and efficient. This also means, and a lot of advisors on the independent space have been able to communicate with their clients through social media and pick a platform. Communicate through Instagram, communicate through Facebook messaging, right? Communicate through podcasts, communicate through video, doing stuff like this. There are a lot of firms out there that don't understand that, and that's going to be the minimum to get into to be in the game. If you don't have that stuff, you're basically minor league. So
well, what's interesting, you said this before, so I want to emphasize it. A lot of firms are going to try to get to that place that we were just talking about, right? You do business anywhere, right? Operate anywhere.
Right.
Firms that can't, guess who's going to pay for it? You already know the answer to that. And that's.
Oh yeah.
I can see it because you made this point before. Like, where's the money going to come from? Who's going to? It's going to cost something to upgrade all this stuff, right? Because you didn't build it this way to begin with, or with the notion that it might change. Yeah, I think.
That's a great point. Look, it's going to come from the clients, and it's going to come from the advisor compensation. They're going to say it costs more money now to do business because we have to invest in all this technology, so you people can have better technology, right? they're going to there's going to be so many excuses coming out of this thing from certain firms. Excuses as to why they need to change pricing because they need to make more money. It's going to really be some firms that think it's going to be pathetic. But I saw it coming out of 2000, 2001. I saw it coming out of 08 and 09. We see a little bit of this in politics. Again, I'm not taking sides, but there are a lot of people that use opportunities and crises to to take advantage a little bit. And I think that I know they got to make money. Firms have to make money. I get it, but there's better ways to do it. And I just think that it's going to be an interesting next couple of years for us. Candidly, I think that we are going to be busier than ever before because of all the things that we're talking about. I've gotten so many phone calls from advisors that are beyond frustrated. They're starting to recognize how poor their firm really is. They didn't like the firm before. Now they're realizing, wow, we were really unprepared. And oh, by the way, I haven't heard from my manager in a week, right? That's crazy. I think if you're a branch manager or leading any type of group, you need to be on Zoom calls every day. You need to be talking. Dale, we do 2 a day, right?
Yeah.
We do 1 at 9
every day.
We do 1 at 5 to check in. I think the 1 o'clock call we were doing was a little bit monotonous and breaking up the day. But if you're not hearing from your manager, or you're not hearing from your leaders, or if you're independent and you're not hearing from your OSJ that's taken 5 or 10 points off your payout, you need to be rethinking your situation because that's not cool. This is where, in times like this is where they earn their money, because just like you have to be talking to your clients right now, because this is where you earn your money. Not about, I got you at 20%, or you're earning your money right now by communicating with your clients. And so I know we're sort of meandering around, but this topic is so big and I'm so passionate about it that and excited. I'm excited because of where this is going to go.
Yeah, I agree. But to the original point of the podcast, it's going to change table stakes. Communication will be paramount, and and that only happens through certain methods, right? Technology being one of those, your compliance restrictions being another one, and it will force firms to upgrade the brain matter at the firm. And if it doesn't happen, you're going to start to see, and it won't happen at certain firms, you're going to start to see things changing, right? And if I'm an advisor, I'm thinking, is that my firm? Like, is it going to get to the point where the branch has to change the economics, or whatever the case might be? Am I really getting my value? This is really sort of like a vantage point on what we're seeing here coming in, starting 2020.
I think that, look, to your point, Dale, I think that firms have to be thinking about those things. And then as an advisor, you have to think about the same things, but from your point of view, right? Are you at the right firm? Are you at a place that's going to be taking care of you so you can take care of your clients? It's a time where you need to be selfish, right? And because it's all about you. I know we joke about that, right? Sometimes we say, it's not about me, but it's about me. You need to be selfish with what your firm is giving you, and demand a higher level, right? Like you're saying, it's table stakes. So anyway, just sort of lastly, on a sort of a side note, non sort of financial service related, because this podcast will probably get released in a few days, when we will start, probably at least in New Jersey and New York, some other states, we'll still be stuck at home and it'll be peaking. So I want to just say that the next couple of days are going to be rough. Everybody's at home. I've been talking to our team about some of these things that I think that everyone should be doing. Try to keep a normal day. Wake up at the same time. Get showered. Get dressed. like you would normally would. Try to make sure if you're at home and you're working from your kitchen table. Find a better place to work. Create some sanity. These are not easy times, and it's going to get. I think it's going to get worse. Well, not I think. Everyone says it's going to get worse before it gets better. And so you got to eat well. Try to stay healthy. Try to eat healthy. Try to exercise. Get outside in some sun. Keep social distancing. I know for me, when I walk with my wife, I'll almost go to the other side of the street if someone's walking. Forget about the 6 feet. I try to keep it at least 10 feet. But do some of those things to keep some sanity. If you need to talk to somebody, you want to talk about your firm, your situation, working from home, communicating. There's the CARE Act came out in terms of for firms that have employees. There's SBA loans. We're here as a resource. You can DM me at franklarosa.elite. You can email myself and Dale, Frank at eliteconsultingpartners.com and Dale at eliteconsultingpartners.com. We want to be a resource. We have information from tons of firms, right? You might be at a firm that's not giving you any information. Email us. We have information that we can disseminate to you from the top firms in the industry that and they're all available to read. I don't know if you can send them to your clients, but at least give you talking points. So, Dale, any sort of last words of wisdom? And
at some point, I'm going to try and build a raft out of palm trees, and we'll try to get off the coast. No, I just want to, in all seriousness, just hope everybody stays safe and happy, and our thoughts and prayers to the families and folks who are on the front lines, and then going to face tough times here. So we're keeping it positive, and I wish everyone the best.
Keep it real. God bless. We love everyone. We love all our clients. We'd love to have you be an elite client, and we'll help you out. Be safe. Give your kids hugs and kisses. Give your wife or spouse, significant others, hugs and kisses. Say a prayer at night for everyone that's out there working and fighting for us. Thanks a lot, and see you next week.
Good talk.
Thanks for watching Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out some of our other episodes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you back here next week.